Tonight, my darlings, I'll tell you a very special story of the Little Mermaid. Deep, deep beneath the ocean waves, there was a kingdom so beautiful it sparkled like 1,000 jewels. The kingdom of Coral Bay stretched as far as the eye could see, with gardens of glowing sea roses, fountains that bubbled with pearl-coloured water, and towers made entirely of pink and purple coral. This was the home of the mermaids. In the tallest tower lived a young mermaid named Marina, which means of the sea. Marina had the brightest green eyes and loved collecting treasures, but her best friend, a tiny golden fish named Shimmer, who sparkled like sunshine in the water. "Good morning, Shimmer," Marina whispered, giving her little friend a gentle kiss. "Today feels special." Shimmer wiggled happily, his scales twinkling. Marina's father was King Oceanus, the wise and kind ruler of all the Atlantic Ocean. He wore a magnificent golden crown and loved his 3 daughters more than all the treasures in the sea. Marina had 2 sisters, Pearl, who was graceful and elegant, and Coral, who loved to giggle and play. "Father," Marina asked one morning, "what's it like above the water?" King Oceanus smiled gently. "When you turn 16, my dear, you may swim to the surface and see for yourself." "Only 2 more days!" Marina squealed with excitement, but not everyone in the kingdom was happy. Marina's Aunt Tempest, which means storm, was jealous. She had always wanted to rule the ocean instead of her brother, the king. "Why should Marina be happy?" Tempest hissed to her reflection in her magic mirror. "Soon, very soon, I'll have my chance." Her wicked laugh echoed through her dark cave. Finally, Marina's 16th birthday arrived. As the sun began to set, Marina swam up, until splash! She broke through the surface for the very first time. "Oh, Shimmer," she gasped. "Look at the stars. They're like diamonds in the sky." Shimmer jumped joyfully beside her, his golden scales catching the moonlight. That's when she saw him. A prince stood on a beautiful ship looking at the very same stars. His name was Prince Azure, which means blue like the sky, and he had the kindest eyes Marina had ever seen. "I wish," the prince said softly to the wind, "I could find someone who understands the beauty of the sea." Marina's heart fluttered. He loves the ocean too. Suddenly, crack! Lightning split the sky. A terrible storm appeared from nowhere. The ship rocked violently. "This is Aunt Tempest's magic," Marina cried. "She's trying to hurt the prince." The ship tipped, and Prince Azure fell into the churning waves. Without thinking, Marina dove deep. Her strong tail pushed through the waves. Shimmer swam ahead, lighting the way with his golden glow. Marina found the prince sinking down, down, down. "I've got you," she whispered, wrapping her arms around him gently. With all her strength, she swam upward, carrying him to the shore. Marina pulled the prince onto a sandy beach just as the sun was rising. "Please wake up," she whispered softly. Prince Azure's eyes slowly opened. He saw Marina's beautiful face looking down at him. "An angel," he murmured. "You saved me." Marina smiled. I'm Marina." But then she heard Voices coming. People from the palace were looking for the prince. I have to go, Marina said sadly. But I'll never forget you. She slipped back into the waves with Shimmer, leaving only bubbles behind. Prince Azure watched her disappear. Marina, he whispered, I'll find you again. I promise. Marina returned home with Shimmer and told her father everything. King Oceanus listened carefully. My dear daughter, he said gently, you followed your heart to save a life. That makes me so proud. But father, Marina worried, I miss him already. The king smiled wisely. True love always finds a way, Marina. Trust in your heart. Pearl and Coral hugged their sister tight. When King Oceanus discovered it was Tempest who created the storm, Sister, he said sternly, your jealousy has gone too far. You will be banished until you learn kindness. Tempest's powers were taken away, and she was sent to the deepest, loneliest cave. No, she wailed, but it was too late. Her wickedness had caught up with her. Every evening, Prince Azure returned to the sea, searching for Marina. Please, he called to the waves, let me see her again. And one magical evening, Marina heard his voice. She swam to the surface with Shimmer, her heart beating fast. Marina! Prince Azure cried out with joy. Azure! Marina laughed. As their hands touched, something magical happened. Golden sparkles swirled around Marina. King Oceanus, watching from below, used his ancient magic, and Marina felt herself changing. She could now live both under the sea and on land whenever she wished. Father's greatest gift, she whispered in wonder. Marina and Azure were married in the most beautiful ceremony ever. Half was above the water with flowers and music, and half was below with glowing sea roses and singing dolphins. Both worlds celebrated together. King Oceanus cried happy tears. Pearl and Coral threw rose petals. Shimmer did loop-de-loops. Even the sea turtles came to watch. Years passed, and Marina and Azure had a beautiful baby girl. One peaceful night, Marina carried her tiny daughter to the beach. Shimmer swam beside them, still glowing like sunshine. Look, my precious pearl of the sea, Marina whispered, pointing to the stars reflecting on the water. This is where Mama's story began. The baby mermaid reached her tiny hands toward the glowing water, giggling with delight. Marina looked at her husband, her baby, and her loyal friend Shimmer. Sometimes, she whispered, the most magical adventures lead us exactly where we're meant to be. Prince Azure kissed her forehead gently. Home. Baby Pearl of the Sea yawned sleepily, her tiny eyes closing. And under the stars, with the gentle sound of waves, the little family watched the sea together. And they all lived happily ever after, just like you will, my darlings. Sweet dreams.